Thanos. He wanted the Mind Stone. But after T'Challa saw what he was doing to Wakanda, he wasn't in a giving mood. Thanos had unimaginable power, but his infected brain couldn't focus it.
All right, I have a theory, and I'm gonna bounce it off you guys. Right? I think the biggest threat to the universe was zombie Thanos, not Wanda. Like, Wanda feels as though she's basically going down the Marvel Zombies version of WandaVision, where she needs all of this power to basically rewrite reality so that she can live that perfect life that she wants to live with her vision and her boys, right? I feel as though that's the direction that Wanda is essentially going down. Zombie Thanos is a completely different monster in and of itself, because not only did we see in his fight against T'Challa and Spider-Man that he was learning, he was picking up, he was mastering the stones as the fight drug out. It was at first it was just energy blasts using the Power Stone. Then, as the fight continued, he began using the Time Stone. We saw him snapping the rock in half and putting it back together, and realizing just exactly what it is that he was able to do. Then he began using the Space Stone to create distance between him and the heroes so that he can have a little bit more time to be able to fight them and get to understand his powers just a little bit more. Once he picked up I believe it was the Soul Stone, no, it was the Mind Gem, because the Mind Gem was the one that he got from Vision. Once he picked up the Mind Gem, it was a completely different beast, almost as if he was coming to terms with everything that was going on around him. And then, of course, T'Challa makes the noble sacrifice where he tackles Thanos. Well, first off, before he even tackles Thanos, my boy put the paws on Thanos. One leg and everything. One leg. T'Challa was moving like an absolute demon this episode. But he sacrifices himself to take Thanos off of the board. We see the Infinity Stones get destroyed, and then the Infinity Storm begins to rage across the majority of the planet. Now, there's a whole other video that needs to be made talking about what the level of destruction was that the Infinity Storm caused, because we know that Bruce jumped into the Infinity Storm around Paris, around France, somewhere around there, which would mean that if we're talking about a storm with Wakanda as its center, that storm wiped out the Middle East, a great portion of China, which is probably why we didn't get to see the Ten Rings. Most of Eastern Europe, probably bits of Russia, Turkey, the vast majority, probably the entire northern, I would say the entire northern continent of Africa, and then was finally stopped all the way up at France when Bruce took in all that energy for himself. That in and of itself is insane. But getting back to Thanos, the universe would not have been able to survive, because we see that once he begins learning, he begins creating his own zombies, the way in which Ultron made his own legion of robots when he had the power of the Infinity Stones in Marvel's What If. Take that version of Thanos, where the drive to go out and wipe out half of all life in the universe is still there. The mission that you've tasked yourself with, this destiny that you've given yourself, is still there. It's still deeply rooted all the way in the back of your mind. A lot of your upper thinking's probably gone. A lot of your emotions are probably gone. Your ability to think complex is probably hampered and gone, but that mission you gave yourself, your sole dedication and focus, is still the top line command inside of your brain. Imagine a version of Thanos that, instead of just snapping and wiping out half of all life across the universe, just begins dropping hordes of zombies on planets that he's been to before, where he starts dropping hordes of planets on the Kree, hordes of zombies on the Kree, hordes of zombies on the Xandarians, hordes of zombies out in nowhere, hordes of zombies on any planet that he is aware life is on. And then he just begins slowly spreading out across the entire universe, just wiping out and destroying life, thinking that in some way, shape, and form, he's gonna hit that goal of wiping out half of all life in the galaxy. But in truth, it's just 100% wanton destruction and death, with him at the center of it all. Absolutely insane, which is one of the reasons why he had to be taken off the board. Because at least with Wanda, we see that Wanda was able to regain some level of control over her mind using her chaos magic. There's no chaos magic there for Thanos. It's just this brute will that only remembers the last thing it really wanted, trying to exercise that will across the entire universe. Wanda's going to localize and contain her powers to essentially Earth. She wants to create a paradise where she is happy. Whereas Thanos' entire like manifesto is wiping out half of all life in the universe so that the other half of life will essentially thrive. But there's no check anymore. There's no balance anymore where after he does it, he goes off and he essentially just retires on Sanctuary 2. That's not going to happen in any way, shape, or form. He's just going to keep on going. Because how does he know that he's wiped out half of all life? He's just going to keep on killing and destroying and maiming and just genociding entire population centers of the galaxy, well, not even the galaxy, of the entire universe unchecked, with nothing being able to stop him. No Celestials are going to be able to drop in and stop him. No Ego is going to be able to drop in and stop him. There's not a version of Ultron in this universe that's just going to zip him and kill him instantaneously. As he continues to revel inside of his power, that zombie mind becomes more and more accustomed to it, and the horrors just become more and more extreme until there is literally no hope. This is one of the things that I kind of wish that they had, if not went down this path, this would make a really great episode of What If, which is what if Zombie Thanos was the one to survive that fight, where he was able to beat and kill both Spider-Man and Black Panther, and then he went out into the greater universe. Because, you know, for whatever reason, what if you've decided that you're just gonna hedge your bets on Peggy Carter, which was a cool concept in season 1, but has run its course as far as season 3. But that idea, a what if episode of that version of Thanos going out into the greater universe, just causing this untold level of death and destruction, and he becomes his own like zombie annihilation wave, that's just slowly creeping across the entire universe. And now you need to have the Celestials with a infinite army of Eternals, and then the last of the Nova Corps and Thanos's remaining soldiers that don't want to follow zombie Thanos because he's destroying more than half of the universe. He's actually going towards universal destruction. That concept would be dope as fuck. Will we get it? Who knows? But let me know what you guys think about zombie Thanos. I personally believe that he was a bigger threat than Wanda. Because at least with Wanda, you know what you're getting. You at least know what it is that she wants, because you've seen her take these steps before. But with zombie Thanos, it just wouldn't have been any end in any way, shape, or form. He would have just kept on going until the universe was just nothing but dead.